2026 Hadley Select Board meeting. At the table this evening, we have Jane Nevin-Smith, myself, Randy Iser, Molly Keegan, and David Phil. Amy Parsons is not with us this evening. Pursuant to Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022 as amended, this meeting is being conducted in a hybrid format. The public has been provided with adequate alternative means of access via Zoom, as noted in the posted meeting notice, along with access and participation instructions. As chair, I hereby notify all participants that this meeting is also being recorded by the town through Hadley Media and will be made accessible to the public. In accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, any person who intends to record or transmit this meeting must inform the chair at this time. Seeing none. Additionally, the virtual hybrid nature of this meeting is for convenience only. The board is meeting in person in a public location. In the event that there is technical difficulties, the board will continue its meeting, notwithstanding the lack of the continued hybrid access. With that, we will get right into our agenda. First item up is a public hearing, which is going to happen at 7 o'clock, so we can't have that now. So we'll go to item 3.1, consent agenda. And on the consent agenda this evening, we have minutes from January 21, January 28th, and February 4th, 2026. One-day liquor license, Council on Aging, March 13th, May 8th, July 10th, September 11th, and November 13th. Charity wine pouring at UMass Amherst Foundation at the Mullins Center, April 11th, 2026. And a Class 2 auto dealer's license, ZG Motors.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay. Motion by David, second by Molly. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So Armani, you're good.
Sure.
Yeah, except for one thing. And what Jennifer, what'd you say that?
All of this license will have all the conditions that his previous license had put on it. The planning board had put some on, y'all had put some on.
Okay.
Namely, no more than 3 used cars at a time, no junk vehicles, and the property must be maintained. But I'll give you the exact language on the license.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thanks.
Okay, good night.
And Jason Germain is here if you have any questions about the UMass charity wine pouring, if you'd like to talk to him. I asked him to attend just in case you had something you wanted to ask.
So I have no questions. Did you, any of you guys?
To tell us what it is?
Yeah. So what's his name? Jason?
Jason.
Jason, if you'd like to tell us about your event, we'd be happy to listen.
Oh,
You're
hold
muted.
on. He can't unmute himself. I forgot to put big rules on.
Okay, perfect. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Thanks, great. Yeah. So on April 11th, our former lacrosse coach, Greg Canella of 31 years, retired. So we're having a celebration retirement party for him in the Mullins Center on the arena. And Ken Freeman, who is also a former player of Greg's, he owns a winery and he is donating some wine that we will have that night at the event.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg's a Hadley resident too, so you
Yeah, good luck with your event.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next up, public comment. Anybody here for public comment, either in person or online? Seeing none, move along. We have no old business. New business, item 6.1, annual town meeting warrant. And this evening, we will vote to open the annual town meeting warrant for the annual town meeting on May 7th, 2026.
To open the warrant for the May 7th annual town meeting.
Second.
Motion by David, second by Jane. All those in favor? Aye. All right. Motion passes. Item 6.2, fiber optic update. I believe that's Alex.
No, he's gonna come. We're gonna sit here and stare at each other for something.
Hello, board. How's everyone doing tonight?
Good.
Good. All right, so let's give a quick update on the Randy sent a email to Randy and David on about the fiber optic warrant from Longmeadow. To So as you all know, we've been working on the fiber optic project for a little bit here. Trying to get BEAD funding, which unfortunately we did not, and it all went, and Verizon took that money. So so now we're at the point where we need to start a municipal light board. Pretty much it just is, it's very simple, a very simple town meeting warrant, our action to make us a municipal light plant and to actually start the work on the fiber optic project. It's non-binding, and it would actually, and South had told us that would make us a more serious candidate of about on getting to that point where we can start the work.
Okay, so explain to the people of the world in this town why we need a municipal light plant when you're just looking to do fiber optic.
State law requires you have the municipal light plant to have the fiber optic internet.
Okay, and that municipal light plant needs to do nothing other than deal with this fiber optic, correct?
And what will the cost to the town be? That will be the question.
To start the municipal light plant board, the board itself, or the whole project?
It's a project.
It is gonna be 15 million around there. We're gonna have to go to bond or at some sort of debt exclusion. Every other community that's done their own municipal fiber optic project has gone to bond to do it. And the best part is you can pay off that bond while you are collecting revenue from the fiber optic project.
So I'm sorry, did you say 50 or 15?
1.5,
One by
1.5,
15 million.
correct.
Yeah.
And what would be a legitimate time frame for this to all play out, Alex?
5 to 7 years. That's what we were told.
And I watched the meeting you had with South Hadley Electric Light, and it was very intriguing, but I don't recall the calendar of events, if you will. So can you kind of describe what happens and, you know, how things play out over the 5 to 7 years?
So essentially it's just South Hadley incrementally putting up the fiber optic equipment. So it's essentially we're not spending $15 million right off the bat. We're gonna collect revenue, and as we collect revenue, we're gonna pay off our debt, and we're gonna start putting up more cabling on the poles.
Okay.
And financially, and that's okay if you don't know this, but just is that part of the town debt? Or is it like a enterprise fund or a standalone?
You essentially start another enterprise fund. And the best part is we don't have to worry about if we go with South Hadley, we don't have to worry about billing. We don't have to worry about any of that stuff. I would take care of that through a service fee. That would be taken out of the revenue.
Mhm.
So essentially we'd be getting a check from South Hadley. To help fund us and keep the revenue.
And what kind of payback period for the loan would it be?
I honestly don't know, the payback period. That's something we'd have to explore and discuss once we get this MLP board going.
Okay,
I think it might behoove you to get some numbers together before the MLP, or whatever is that what you call it, MLP, municipal light, whatever, board gets going, because people are gonna wanna know, number one, what Jane just asked. Number two, why do you want to do this? Why are we doing this? And it's for the benefit of the community that I'm asking you this question.
Yeah, so when we did our digital equity plan, it's very point that people are tired of Charter Spectrum internet, and people want another alternative to our internet. in town. So this would be the best way to do it. We'd have local control over the pricing. We would be able to boost our real estate values. And we'd be collecting revenue for the town, eventually, once we get it up to 100%.
So we would basically be doing the same sort of things that Charter Spectrum does in terms of having a variety of channels that one could choose from?
So no, not cable,
Not
just internet,
Just internet.
just internet, yep.
How does the pricing in some of these towns? I think Shutesbury has their own version, South Hadley. How do the monthly bills for those towns compare to, say, what Charter or Spectrum?
It's definitely a difference. I think some of them are paying like $60. I'd have to get some of those numbers. I think Amy has those pricing, all that pricing, but it's a very significant difference, and we're not breaking up the prices twice a year, like Charter might do.
And Alex, in order for people to take advantage of the fiber optic, so, you know, once the fiber optic is run and it's turned on, if you will, from a connectivity standpoint, people need different equipment
Mhm.
and is that equipment also available at a discount, or is that something that they have to buy on a retail basis, or how does that work?
So I believe the equipment is provided. So are you saying like a router, Wi-Fi router? I believe that is I believe that's provided by Shell.
Yeah.
Or if we were to go to South Hadley, that'd be provided by them.
Okay, and again, that's something you should know the answer to, because I'm sure if this comes to an article on the warrant, you're gonna get questions. So, and then what about the outliers that don't have cable now? Or don't have internet now, would they be
Absolutely,
to-
that's the whole point. That's part of the point of it. When we were trying to get the BEAD funding, the point of the BEAD funding was to go out to those outliers in Honey Pot Cemetery. And other places in town to get them connected properly.
Mhm.
So the whole point is to get the whole town connected and not just a random aerial mile. Because that's how it's currently done. Spectrum will,
Yeah.
okay, if you live in this 1 mile radius, there's so many people here to get it. There's so many people here, they won't get it because there's not enough.
Yeah.
Like, they're trying to turn a profit, we're trying to provide a service,
Okay,
right?
But also the people that are in those kind of far out areas that don't have service now, since you said we're going to be bringing in revenue to pay the debt so that way we can expand further, most likely the people in those far-flung areas are not going to be the first customers that are installed, because it doesn't make sense to put in 2 miles of cable to serve one customer when we have to pay our debt. You know,
It would definitely make more sense to start on Route 9.
okay,
Because there's a amount of businesses that are on Route 9.
right.
You would really get that revenue in, and then we could start moving into town more.
okay, and to Jane's earlier point about what's it gonna cost, at what point will it start to cost?
As in,
So if we create this committee,
mhm,
and then there's gonna be a process, I assume, to figure out what we need, when it can be, you know, how much it's gonna cost. And then we've got to come up with the funding. So are we not financially committed until we say we are going to pay the $15 million and do this? My concern is this, Alex, we've done stuff in the past, and just so you know, I think this is a great idea. But we've done stuff where, okay, let's get this committee together, and then we go spend $20,000 to get a study done, and then nothing ever comes of it. So would there be a situation like that, or is it going to be?
that's something we'd be exploring. So if we get to a point where, okay, this is not financially feasible, we just don't do it and we don't spend a penny. If we start spending money when we say, okay, we want to do this.
Okay, all right, because the people from South Hadley seem more than willing to help as much as they can.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so you're asking us tonight to do what?
Put it on the warrant.
Yeah, so to put the verbiage from Long Meadow onto the warrant and then just change Long Meadow to Hadley.
The only other question I have, or just a follow-up question, and you may not know the answer, but one I'd like to get an answer to is for going back to the 15 million, if that's the town's borrowing the 15 million, you know, is that 15 million of our borrowing capacity that we're using up for the project? Even though the payments for the 15 million, you know, would come from the revenues.
We get more information about that. Like I said, I don't think we're gonna be taking out $15 million bond or loan right off the bat.
Mhm.
I think it's gonna be much less as we do go on and on. Like I said, the project's gonna take 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't make sense to take $15 million out right off the bat.
Yeah, if that's spread out over the whole. rollout
Exactly,
period,
yeah. Do it at a more incremental pace.
Okay, maybe that's something, I don't know if your committee's involved, Linda Sanderson at all, but it'd probably be good to just make her aware of it so she could chase that down.
Okay, I'll reach out to her.
Okay, thanks.
I think that there are enough questions that you need to come back and guarantee us that you'll have the answers by town meeting before we can put a placeholder in for this.
I'm fine with a placeholder, and we can always pull it.
And we can pull it if we
Yeah.
don't have answers to all the questions,
Yeah.
because the town meeting doesn't like to not have their questions answered.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
And like I said, this is the next step to really start looking into this. I know that you have a lot of questions. But the whole point of starting the MLP board is to really start working with South Hadley to get some of these questions answered.
Mhm.
We have the fiber optic steering committee right now, but that can only do so much.
and who would be on this committee?
Whoever's on the fiber optic steering committee right now.
Okay.
You have the power to point, although I would say I would ask that you not point me to the MLP, instead make me an ex officio. Or a non-voting member.
mhm. Okay, well, we can deal with that when we get,
Yeah.
if we get to that point.
Okay, I move we put a placeholder on the warrant for this article. Pending proper answers.
Second, sounds good.
Okay, motion by Jane, second by David. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Alex.
You got? Let me
Now
know if
you
you have
got,
any
now you
other
got homework to do. Okay, item 6.3, Town Administrator Office Restructuring. And I believe Mr. Mason would like to speak to us regarding this.
As you know, we a couple of weeks ago or a few weeks ago went through a process of layoffs. The select board decided on which departments we're gonna have to take financial cuts. Part of that process is restructuring several of these departments, sharing duties. One of the cuts that was made, which you're going to likely make official in a few minutes, was the elimination of the Human Resource Office. Part of the restructuring ideas that were presented was that upon elimination of the HR office, payroll and benefits would be outsourced to different entities, and we would continue to look to streamline those duties. And all other HR responsibilities were going to go to the town administrator's office. One of the things that I guess was expected of me throughout the course of me handling interim duties was to kind of let the board know where I thought the town needed help, where we didn't necessarily need some help. The duties alone for the town administrator are immense. Adding human resources and that entire office to the town administrator office is overburdensome, and I don't think you can expect any single person to be able to handle those duties. So what was presented was a creation of an assistant town administrator position, with the duties of the human resource director being shifted to the TA's office. The salaries would also be able to be shifted to create this position. So there is no funding necessary to be able to fund a position like this. The only caveat, obviously, is that it could not, it can't be an outside hiring. You can't hire somebody from the outside. This would have to be a supplemented salary, essentially. So what I'm presenting to you tonight is, based upon our discussions, is that recommendation that that position is created. I believe that it will set up your new town administrator, your permanent town administrator, for success. And I think, you know, with everything that's going on in this town right now, they're going to need all the help they can get. And so the only thing that I think you probably have seen maybe once so far, maybe if you looked at it today, is the job description, which is essentially a combination of licensing, procurement, human resources functions, things like that. And it would essentially give the town administrator the ability to lead the town, to glad hand with politicians and things like that, and to plan for the future. As we stand right now, you have no one who's looking at any extended plans for this town. There's no 5-year, 10-year, 15-year plan. My hope would be that you would give enough support to the TA coming in that they could actually do something like that, and hopefully be able to avoid asking for overrides at any point in the future to come, figure out other ways to bring in revenue. So that's what this request is for, this recommendation is for.
Got some questions, Randy, if you could.
Sure.
So this is a non-union position, correct?
Correct.
All right. And then, so in your time as an acting town administrator, excluding your duties for the police department, how many hours were you spending on average doing town business?
The vast majority of the time that I spent over the last year and a half plus has been on TA duties.
No, I know that, but I'm saying, over and above a 40-hour work week, right? Is 40 hours enough to get it done, or is it?
No,
Okay,
not even close.
okay.
Not even close. I haven't, I mean, I don't want to sound flippant. I haven't seen my kids in 2 days. I left before they woke up the last 2 mornings and didn't get home last night until they were in bed, and I won't be home tonight until they're in bed. So that's regular. That's fairly normal.
And I know one of the questions that Carolyn, when she was here, there was some stuff that was moved off to other people to handle different duties. And one of the things that we always got was, well, David Nixon was able to do this. And I know he was a little different than most people, so he was able to devote the 16 hours a day, 7 days a week to it. But I guess what's the response to people that say, well, how come David Nixon could do this with just as one person versus now, we have some duties farmed out and now we're possibly adding an assistant town administrator? I guess what's changed since?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, unfortunately, without being in the TA's office when David was here, I don't know that I can compare the two. And I certainly wouldn't want to disparage David and say that, oh, maybe he didn't get certain things done. I just don't know. What I can tell you is that the town doesn't look the same that it did when David was working here. The town has grown. The town has city type problems and has town type funding. So the problems are there and they still need to be resolved. And a lot of the things that work their way through the TA's office require attention that stops you from doing all of your day-to-day tasks. I mean, it's putting out fires constantly. I guess I guess what I would ask in return is, did David Nixon give you give you what I just described? Did he give you a future plan? Was he able to plan for the future and build towards, bringing in new revenues and looking at housing issues and things like that? And if the answer is no, then if you want that out of a TA, then that would be my recommendation.
I think if you ask David today, 'cause many of us are still in contact with him. One of the last pieces of parting advice he gave was the fact that the current structure of the select board's office wasn't going to hold, and that we needed to be thinking about a restructuring down the road, because one person can't do the job.
I can tell you that David never turned anybody away walking into his office with a problem.
Yeah.
I was able to walk in anytime I wanted and just sit down. He would literally stop what he was doing. He'd never send you out. And so, that continues to happen, and it's going to happen even more without human resources.
And I think a key element here is that David did work the 7 days a week, 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
And you can't use that as a baseline for the next person, because that's just not fair. I mean, if somebody wants to work like that, amen for them, but that doesn't mean that everybody should have to. So I think, we have to expect that somebody comes in, we're going to pay them for 40 hours, that's pretty much what they're going to work. And granted, it may not be every week, but for the most part, people should have a life other than their job. Jane?
Well, I also know that in the past 5 years since David's been here, there've been a lot more requirements from the state for the towns, things that the towns need to do, reports the town needs to fill out. And I know a lot of those go through the town administrator's office, so there's just a lot more work going on.
Mhm.
The only other thing that I would add is that, we did have finance committee meeting last night, and I was asked by Amy to just express to the select board that I don't know if she was I don't think she was speaking for the entire board. I'm not sure she would do that, but she did express that at least she would like to have some input on it. That's just the best way I can put it.
Mhm.
I guess, and Linda pointed out that, there is no financial component here. You're moving the work and you're moving the funding that was doing the work. But it's, that's up to the select board. If you want to have a conference and discuss it, that's completely up to you. But I see this as an operational need. And something that, and the other part of it is that this has already happened. HR is closed,
Mhm.
so this is already going on.
Yeah, well, I
Can we
found,
keep asking questions?
sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to keep the conversation.
Oh, yeah, I don't think we want to stop. Something that I want to say, I watched a fair amount of the last night's finance committee meeting when this issue came up. And there's $100,000 for assistant town administrator position. And if you look at the description, procurement, licensing, all that stuff. So we're taking that position and adding to it. So the reality is that whatever licensing and procurement is making gets taken off that $100,000. And that seemed to have been missed last night.
Perhaps, I can't tell you where the disconnect was, but there definitely seem to be some confusion there.
Mhm.
Again, it's a supplemental salary. And the only other item that is, that was put before the board when we discussed this the first time around, when we were talking about layoffs and things, was a potential halftime admin, which we still have a hiring freeze on. The idea was to budget for it in the event that there was agreement that you could unfreeze for a part-time admin.
Mhm.
And if that doesn't happen, then ultimately you claw back that money and you actually have a savings on what happened.
That was actually, there were two things I wanted to ask about, and that helps what you just said, because I know when the initial, budget proposal, and again, I think I wanna emphasize, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but it's a budget proposal, right? It's the initial budget proposal that is on the table, in this book, and that's what the finance committee, Peter's sitting there, so I'm just motioning to you. The finance committee and the select board jointly are gonna continue to go through, and it's very possible that changes may be made to this proposal as we get through the process. So it's not, hard and fast by any means. There's still a lot of discussion to be had. And that, part of the concern is that the initial direction of the select board has been, and you and our finance director have followed that direction by saying, we feel like we need to spread the pain kind of around town, which this clearly reflects. And I know there's a lot of concern on the part of departments who are losing, potentially losing, support help, that they may have a detrimental impact on finances, right? And I think that came up in our questioning in the first meeting. We have to be very conscious of the collector's office collects, and the assessor assesses, and that's where, property valuations come from. And then the select board's office also collects revenue, and the building inspections collects revenue. So, where I was getting at was, if, depending on where this goes tonight, that support position, theoretically, we could continue to take a look at that, and whether or not it made sense to continue to spread those hours throughout town, so that we're not, town hall in particular. Because I think, there may be a perception at first glance that we're kind of creating this or adding these dollars on the backs of everybody else. And I certainly wouldn't want to do that. But to Randy's point, I listened to the finance committee start to finish last night. My understanding is that this is a neutral move. We're taking the salary of the HR director and some of those other moving parts. We've already eliminated a couple of jobs, and that's where the money is coming from to fund this. So this is moving between departments. It's not a net increase to the cost. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that's what I heard, but I just want to make sure because there was some confusion. And then the other thing is just trying to play a little bit of chess. Down the road, we have to anticipate that there will be retirements or people leaving, existing town hall positions. And I know in the past, we've talked about, do we need a full-time finance director? So currently we have a collector, we have a treasurer / finance director. And we've talked down the road about the possibility of doing what most other municipalities have done, which is combining that treasurer collector. So I think, we need to be thinking about the next couple of years as well. So I'm just going to ask the question, do you see this being like the final restructuring, and this is what the town looks like, or is there opportunity to continue to look at how the town is organized and delivering services in the future?
I think we would be foolish to say that this is where it ends. You have to continue to analyze and look at things and see how things are working. This is how I think your new TA would have the most success in that particular office. And I completely agree that the admin should be looked at to do just what you said, which is, try to figure out a way to spread some of the assistance around within town hall, because you know, as I explained to the finance committee last night, all of these departments who are losing help, they're going to be coming in and explaining to you that they're not going to be able to get stuff done.
Yeah.
And the only thing of tangible value that we could offer is closing town hall to the public. And some of the department heads, as I mentioned last night, have said, I'm still not going to be able to get certain things done. So, I do like the idea of the admin. I think that can be, sussed out more. And some alterations made on how that works. But again, you know, that would have to be unfrozen to begin with. So that's budgeted for, but not, the move hasn't been made. But again, to answer your, I guess to get back to answer your question, I think there are a lot of things that could be done to be more efficient in all departments. So no, I don't think you stop here. I think when you bring your new TA in, somebody who's invigorated, you know, fresh set of eyes, so to speak, I think you can point them in that direction. And if they're not handling personnel matters all day long, they will have the time to do that.
So is there any finance as in budget aspect of this, or are we still relying on a finance director for them to work with the town administrator for budgeting and things like all in those lines?
So my recommendation would be to look at the TA job description again before you hire a new TA. And reattach some finance responsibilities to that. Just because your finance director generally is the person that writes the budget, but the TA has to have their name on it. Like I made a joke last night that my name's on this horrible book that I don't even want to look at anymore. But I think that should be part of it. And I think if the job descriptions are written properly for these positions, that there has to be overlap. You must have a person who can step into the role and do that role, and have the authority to carry out what needs to be carried out. Finance would be part of it. I do believe that you need to continue to have a finance director, though. I just think that projections and looking into the future is just so important, especially for this community in the crisis that we're in right now. I think a lot of the folks out there are under the assumption that they recognize and understand that the health insurance debacle is a massive part of it. But I think there is a fraction of folks out there who think, boy, I wish we had a better look at the future before we stepped in this hole. Whether that's accurate or not, I don't know. But I think that's something that, you know, can be looked at for the future and should be.
Yeah, and I think going just to the purview of the finance committee and the select board. So. I mean, you know, because part of the budget process, we talked to the finance committee about hiring freezes and things like that were. There was a direct financial ramification to that. I mean, the way I'm looking at this is we have, I'm not gonna use the word crisis, but I just said it right. But we have a situation that exists right now in this moment at town hall. Where we have a void that needs to be filled. The recommended solution that is being put in front of us is that there's not a financial impact to it. So I mean, I feel like this is more of a structural, organizational employment situation that rests solely with the select board. I mean, I worry, I'm sure, if we're gonna open it up to others, I mean, I'm sure people in town hall would like a democratic vote on this too. I mean, I know we don't like making these, but I mean, I think that's our job.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
I guess where are, so I know I'm gonna get this question. I haven't made any progress on a town administrator.
Yes.
What's our next step for that we can talk about?
I'd like to put somebody in front of you on the 18th.
Okay.
Publicly, so there, everybody, there's no executive session, no secrets or anything like that. I'd like to put somebody in front of you on the 18th.
Okay.
I can't go much further than that because I want them to be able to let their folks know before they're on television.
Okay.
But I am confident that this would be a positive, a very positive move for Hadley.
and does that take into account you're just talking about making the financial role a little bit more explicit in the TA job description? Is that-
Yeah, I've had a couple of conversations with town council. They have reviewed this job description and made some tweaks to it, and I'd like for them to look at the TA one as well. And I can give a little bit of direction as to how they could alter it. So ultimately, that would be something similar as this, where the select board would simply vote on any alterations to the job description of the TA as if it was like a policy, any other kind of policy. So we would have time for that. And you can give any input that you want in the meantime. Throw me an email of things that you'd like to see. I'll check the job description. I'll be honest with you, I'd be surprised if it wasn't already pretty strong language in there about financial oversight, but I'll make
Yeah,
sure.
I thought there was, but that.
Can you send us that description, the existing description, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You know, and I guess the other thing too is, I know you're asking us to do this tonight, and this is obviously it's significant decision, right? I mean, it carries a lot of weight to it. If we were to. There's a reason you want this done now. I mean, if we were to say, oh, we'll put a hold on it and we'll talk about it a little bit more. Is that feasible in your mind, or is there reasons why we ought to be moving from a risk standpoint?
From a risk standpoint, what do you mean by risk?
What's the risk of us taking a pass on this tonight and waiting?
You're asking me to do 3 jobs. That's the risk.
Yep.
That's a lot.
Two's a lot.
Two's enough.
Two's a lot.
And you also have to remember that if the person that I'd be recommending for this job is actually already doing it and has been doing it without the authority to really carry out some of these things. And so, if it was like official, we're gonna put this on pause and we'll get back to it when we get back to it.
Mhm.
That's not gonna continue and they literally fall in my lap.
Yeah, and I am purposely, obviously asking that because, again, I think it's important for the public to know that sometimes there are decisions that have to get made because, we're looking at the other side of the equation. I mean, there is risk associated with not doing this that could be detrimental to the town, with functions coming to an absolute screeching halt with nobody with skill sets to easily step into those roles. So I just want to make sure people understand that too. This isn't just us trying to rush to judgment.
Yeah, well,
So this is an at-will position and there's no contract because we're getting away from contracts, right? So this is
Your TA would likely have a contract, but
Right.
this would be under the,
Wage study
yeah.
classification.
Yeah.
and where would it fall in the wage study? Do we have that?
Yeah.
It's A,
Yep.
not the
It's a TA position.
grade level A.
Okay. Thank you.
I mean, your only other option is to hire another HR director. The way I see it.
We've had such good luck with that. I think I'll
I
pass.
think we got 3 strikes and we're out already on that, didn't we?
Yeah,
Four.
Four, okay.
4 strikes. New rules, 4 strikes and we're out.
Different game.
Yes. Anybody have on the board have any other questions? Concerns? Looks like Mr. Matusko would like to speak to us.
Hi there.
Good evening.
Good evening. Talking with last night's meeting, as long as I really understood it, that this is gonna be a position that's gonna be a multitasking, multi-positional job, doing procurement, the licensing and all those things in it. It's taking, or it's adding on to the HR department, which was a individual salary as it was. So, I do not have a problem with actually joining all this together. My thought is the person that's gonna be filling this position, are they gonna be qualified to handling and being in this position? And if gonna be doing HR also, are they now gonna be saying because of their duties that they're now gonna be needing an HR assistant? Cause once you have multiple people of having multiple positions and more duties, for someone to say, are they qualified to doing the job? I mean, the finance committee is being scrutinized because we're not qualified, because we're not mathematicians and we don't have all these degrees by the people talking to the bylaw committee, but someone, you know, and I'm not paid, we're not paid. But as to someone that's gonna be a paid salary employee, are they gonna have the proper qualifications to be doing all these things? That's a big question also. So that's, then after knowing that if there's gonna be an assistant town administrator and then a town administrator, has the select board, I've heard things, don't know if it's true, to having a town, to going and having a town manager.
We can.
That's what I just wanna know. We can't have a town manager because of
Would it be
the
a change?
occupation.
Change of government.
Okay,
Yeah, then that would.
because a lot of people have said that and I just would like to just,
Yeah,
people
yeah.
just throw things. I would like to just, you know, I like to bring it out in the open and just.
Sure.
It's good.
That's all I'd rather
It's good.
know.
You have to be a certain size town to have a manager.
Okay,
We can have a strong town administrator, or we can have a town administrator. Those are the choices we can make as a town.
And just to kind of elaborate, I think where you were headed with this, Peter, if got to the point where we could have a town manager, then the town administrator position wouldn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, and to get back to your first question, the person that we certainly would hire somebody that for the assistant TA position that was qualified. And the goal here is to have the assistant town administrator and the new town administrator, they will be a team to cover all the bases that you were talking about, so that there shouldn't be a need for an administrative assistant to help them. They would be working together to get all these,
Sure.
yeah, to take care of the town administrator jobs and the HR stuff as well.
town administrator would be union agreements, HR and whatever politics within the town, making sure that whoever you have chosen that's, you know, best for the town that can do all of those things. I'm hoping of whoever this candidate is, that can do all of those things. But if this is gonna be another salary, that whoever is filling that position is able to fulfill it, not just to put that person in there, but has the qualifications for having that position.
Yeah, and
That's what, yeah,
again, the goal is to make it so that everything we get a government set up so that we don't have to be having these financial conversations, that we don't want to hire somebody that's not going to work out. That makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, if we hire somebody and they don't work out because they just don't work out, and we did our homework and it doesn't work out, that happens every now and again, but we certainly don't want that to happen. We're not going to hire somebody just to fill a position. We want to hire somebody that we feel is going to do the job and help us get going into the future and figure out additional ways to get revenue, so that we don't have to keep having these financial discussions every year.
Well,
is there a probationary period for this TA that's gonna be coming in that Mike's gonna be bringing in, is there a probationary period for this position, saying after 3 months, 6 months, if things don't go well within the town?
That'll be part of,
That'll be part of their
the
contract.
Okay,
contract,
just-
yeah.
They don't, this is a done deal, and we have this person and we are.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
stuck with them.
Right.
Don't say Mike's bringing in. I'm not gonna get blamed.
Okay,
if you don't-
well, it's on the book.
Yeah, your name's on the book, your name's on this too. But Peter, one of the things that I think we've found is you know, with the HR department, obviously, we're not doing a lot of hiring and firing right now, like I think you said during one of the meetings. But there is issues that come up. There is union grievances, there's all that kind of stuff that needs to be addressed, benefits. I guess one of the good things that have come out of all this turmoil is we found a way to outsource some of those duties that were previously, you know, done by a fairly highly paid HR person specifically. So now we're doing those duties with a contractor, saving money versus having an HR person. So I'm at the point where I would not, we'd have to see a lot of changes and a lot of things happen before I'd ever support going back to our own HR director or an HR assistant at this point. Because I think we've found better ways to do it, cheaper ways to do it.
And I think more to come too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's gonna have to be more to come, that are gonna have to save money.
And if this applicant doesn't work out, would we go back? I know that there was a meeting that you all voted on when it came to finding the town administrator on your own. But remember, in 24, the select board asked for $15,000 for a consulting firm to finding somebody.
Mhm.
So if it doesn't work the first round, if this person doesn't work, you know, you are obligated to the town for asking that 15 grand to going through that consulting firm at least the second round.
Mhm.
That's it. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Peter.
Where we at?
You have 8 minutes before your public hearing has to start.
Okay, so we're discussing. We're gonna make a decision whether we want to approve this position that was brought forth. So,
And we have to approve the job description. Okay, so the recommendation is to create the job, right?
Right,
Correct. Create the job and approve the job description.
I'll make a motion that we create the new assistant town administrator position and use the attached job description.
I'll second.
okay, motion by Jane, seconded by Molly. Any further discussion?
Hang on 1 second. So do we need to specifically mention the grade as well in the motion? No, okay.
It's in the description, Davey.
All right, I'm good.
Okay, so all those in favor?
I
Aye. Okay. Motion passes. We've got 6 minutes till our public hearing.
Need to 7.1.
We could. Item 7.1, employee appointments, resignations, and retirements. So under that category, we have one layoff of Lauren Wilcox, the HR director, effective March 13th, 2026. We have a resignation of Scott Hutkowski, a DPW superintendent. And we have for an appointment, we have a recommendation. Do you want to make your recommendation, Mr. Mason, or do you want me to read it?
You can read it.
Okay. So the appointment is if the ATA job description is approved, which it
Sorry.
was.
Can we do 2 separate motions on the resignations and the appointments? Just
Sure.
to make it,
Yeah,
if you don't mind.
no, not at all. So let's,
Motion to approve or accept. Yeah, approve and accept, sorry, kind of weird language. The layoff and the resignation is presented.
Second.
Okay, motion by Molly, second by David. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And on that, are we gonna hire a new superintendent soon? Since I know winter's almost over, but I know they gotta be even shorter staffed.
Well, that's, okay, how do we deal with that? We got a person that's leaving, has resigned, and we got an open position. Does that?
Every position that has become vacant by rule basically has become frozen.
That's fine.
So we
Okay,
would have to unfreeze it and then post.
So we'll
Next
just
week.
take that up
Okay,
with the
so,
finance committee.
yeah, next week on the
Let's do it
11th, we have a by board meeting. So can you put that on the agenda, please, Jennifer? So we can talk about that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So for an appointment, we have a recommendation for Jennifer Sanders James for the position of Assistant Town Administrator. Discussion?
Any discussion?
Discussion?
How about, Mike, tell us in your experience in the 5 years you've been doing this now, that,
Why the
why the
recommendation?
recommendation?
The easiest answer is that when you look at that job description, Jennifer has been doing most of those duties for the last year and a half since I've been in that office. When I walked in the door, I had no clue where to start or how to do any of those jobs. And Jennifer was basically the TA for the first 6 months, if not more, because she knew where everything is, where everything goes, how everything's supposed to work. The institutional knowledge that she has specific to that office and to this town is unmatched. And I honestly believe that if she were ever to walk out the door, you would have some significant problems in that office. There are very few people that you can look at and say, if they quit, they are irreplaceable. She is as close to one of those folks as I've found. And I think she can help the new TA when they get hired be successful.
Is, and I feel we're talking about you, so I could ask you the question too. But, has Jennifer done anything to indicate that she was trying to do self-improvement to qualify you for things above and beyond current responsibilities?
I'm happy to speak to that.
Sure.
I've been taking MMA classes pretty consistently since I started. David Nixon was a big proponent of that. So when y'all hired me, part of the reason you hired me was to take over procurement from David Nixon to sort of lift some weight off of him. That was something that he identified. So as soon as I started those classes. So I've been at MCPPO for the town of Hadley for the last 8 years. I've been here for 8 years, fully certified. And during Carolyn's tenure, she did not have her MCPPO qualifications. She took the classes, but she never took some of the tests. So she was never fully qualified. I've been your only procurement officer for the last 5 years. And I've of course handled it while Mike is here, although we have not done a lot of procurement. So I've been handling all of that and I've been educating myself, and I take additional classes like on how to do real estate. I signed up for a solar one a little too late. But I've also signed up and I'm in right now the MMA. I have to say this correctly because Linda says I say it wrong. Suffolk financial seminar that goes for the next 6 weeks. I also spent the last year and a half sitting with Linda going over the budget so that if Mike decided to leave and we had a transition and things happen, that I would be able to help with the budget. So I have a pretty great knowledge of the budget already, and Linda just helped me drive it home. And I'm also, I got waitlisted unfortunately last year when I applied for it, but I've been accepted to the MMA Suffolk Leadership Program, which is something that MMA has put together to help build leaders in the Commonwealth, because town administrators are retiring and you need town administrators. And this is something I'm interested in, and I'm going to keep taking these classes. And I'm going to do an MMA or MMHHR boot camp on March 12th. But I've already been taking a lot of classes and talking to a former interim HR director that we had, and she's been giving me a lot of feedback and advice on where to go and look for more classes and things. So I'm jumping in all the way. I'm in a great place in my life right now where I don't have to get home to small people and I have some bandwidth to just take on extra things and I hope I didn't take that too far sideways.
No, you're
It's
good.
important
Yeah.
for people to know.
Yeah.
2 questions.
Sir.
Okay, don't take this personally. The
Okay.
first question, chief, is if we fire Jennifer today or she quit today, is there anybody that her duties could be divided amongst in town hall? Do you see anybody that could take over the vast majority of them and step into the place?
I mean, you have a lot of really skilled workers in this town. I just don't know if anybody even knows everything she does, never mind how to do everything.
Right.
I can't really answer that question. I think that the crisis that you would have if she got fired or walked out the door in trying to figure out who would take over all of those things would last long enough that we would have some significant problems. But I don't think, it would be impossible to teach people, but I mean, she and I have actually talked a little bit about some of the duties that she has, and I've been there for 1.5 years, and every once in a while, she'll say something that she handles that I had never heard before. That she takes care of, so there's just so much that she does and that she has her hands in, and that's why I use the term institutional knowledge, because it's a commodity that as our folks retire, we lose or leave. When Joan left, we lost so much, just so much. She did everything. She knew everything. Those are the kinds of things that I am afraid of. I don't want to walk out of that office and, I mean, this sounds selfish, but I don't want to have to go back. Like, truly. If we set it up in a way that the new TA fails or says this is just too much, what are we gonna do?
Okay, I gotta put everybody on pause. It's 7:02. We have a 7 o'clock public hearing. So we have to go back to that. We can come back to this once we get through the public hearing. Okay, so we're going to hold a public hearing for on-premise all alcohol license for Posada Inc., which is at 48 Russell Street, which I believe is where Mitiera used to be. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Mhm.
Okay, Jennifer, what can you tell us?
Well, I'm gonna actually invite Lee Phillips, who is the attorney for the new restaurant, up to, if you could have a seat at the table there, and there's a nice microphone for you.
I knew you looked familiar, but this is not in the right place.
I will say quickly that the license I've reviewed the license, I've spoken to Lee and Chris several times who is the owner, about this property, and about the plan that they have. Building inspector, fire chief, and the police chief have all seen the licenses. The fire chief has some concerns, but he's addressing those separately with them. With some design things and some occupancies, but everything else in the license is good to go, and I don't see any problem moving forward with it. And then I'll let Lee go from there.
What do you want to know? He's looking to move his cantina location in Hatfield to the Russell Street address where Mitiera used to be. It's an existing business that he's already operating that he just wants to relocate. So here we are trying to get the liquor license approved so he can keep things going. He'll be closing Cantina.
And where's that located, Leah?
That is, it was the old Fishtails building.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he also owns Posada in Greenfields.
Mhm.
They operate under the same corporation and they're very similar menus, but slightly different.
Okay, and the issues with the fire chief, are they anything major?
No, we're working with, he actually requested that they move forward with getting their liquor license to look in with us as part of their building.
Okay,
So we wanted to get them moving on like license, so they've been agreed about getting.
Incredibly cooperative and responsive to everything that's come up. I mean,
He's
I wish every
super nice
conversation would
guy,
go
he
like
really-
that.
Yeah.
every single conversation with both Lee and the licensee have been super cooperative moving forward. It's been very nice.
One other thing I can tell you that Cinco de Mayo deadline, he was.
Yes, he's really hoping to be open.
I don't have any questions.
No, it's
You're good?
existing, established, yeah. I'll make a motion to,
Do we have to ask for public?
Yes,
Yeah.
you sorry, the public hearing.
Yeah, okay, this is a public hearing. Anybody in the audience, either in person or online, have any questions or concerns?
And I will say that this was published in the newspaper and all the butters were notified
Okay,
twice.
twice. Okay, I don't see or hear anybody that wants to comment on this. So,
motion to approve.
Second.
motion by Molly, second by Jane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Leah.
I will let you know. It's on an airplane back as we speak, so.
I will submit this to the ABCC tomorrow.
Okay, keep me posted if you need anything else. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, back to town administrator office restructuring. Do we have any more questions or concerns for the acting TA or Jennifer?
I don't,
Can I just for the record, I have a BA and a BS. I've also taken several graduate level courses on program management and grant writing, just to waylay the concern about education of the person who they are recommending for the position. I don't know if that is helpful for y'all, but that might be good to know.
yeah, important for other people too. All right, well, I'll make a motion to accept Mike's recommendation to appoint Jennifer Sanders James as the Assistant Town Administrator.
Second.
Is there a starting date for this?
July 1st, was it? Or,
Tomorrow would be great. I have, I'm so sorry. It needs to be ASAP. I've got to do some things that I don't have authority to do.
I think you
Is
saw
that-
this, I think you saw 7.1, he's pointing to the item 7.1.
oh, okay, yeah, I was just want to make sure we didn't
Sorry.
have something in here that wasn't.
Yeah.
Oh,
accurate.
yeah, I apologize.
Effective immediately then, so effective March
Yeah.
5th.
Please.
Your HR director is gone, so
Right.
like the salary's free.
Right.
Okay,
I'll resecond that.
okay, motion by Molly, second by David. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. all.
Welcome to the town of Hadley.
Thank you. I hope I'll be very happy here and I hope you'll really like the work I do.
So far we do, so keep
Hold
it
that
up.
thought, Jim. Hold that thought.
Okay, moving right along, item 8.1, town administrators report.
If you look at the TA report, the items in blue or anything that is different, everything in red is, has not, and no change. As you know, the search is active, or at least the process has begun for the deputy fire chief. Same with the TA. Jane updated the board, I believe, at the last meeting, and there was some discussion about the solar. So there's more information if folks are looking for it. You can watch the online select board meeting we had last week, or the week before. The levy rehab, we discussed what Senator Markey's office has offered us, and I did submit the application in early February. So that is in process. Essentially, that application is for the Army Corps of Engineers to do a feasibility study, which would be covered by grant. We mentioned this last time, ballot questions can be added by April 16th. I only put this on here just because we've discussed in the past the select board possibly putting non-binding questions on there. As we move towards override discussions and things like that, just something to think about. And I don't know if you want me to read the whole thing, but I did ask District 2 from Mass DOT to come in and meet with us and give us an update on the Route 9 project.
Oh, good.
They have kindly declined.
Really?
Bad.
But they did provide me with this update in email form, so you can take a look at that. They are still working, and then obviously winter has paused everything, and they're hopefully to resume in late March, so late this month. And they're waiting for delivery of some new traffic signal components for North and South Maple Street. And they give updates on the sidewalks and things like that they've been working on.
I just take that as they're afraid to be cornered on the sidewalk issue here.
Yelled at.
Well, so I don't want to say good news on that, but that is one of the other things one of the many things that I've been working on. I have a meeting with them tomorrow, in fact, to discuss that very issue. Not making any promises though, especially based upon the email that we got.
Do they have any kind of a estimated finish date on this road?
2020, never. No, no, I didn't actually ask that question specifically, but I can't.
Well, it's April 26th, so this April was supposed to be the end date.
Yeah.
So that's part of why I was hoping that they would come in so we could just ask about that, not to yell at them.
It says end of June into July with a little bit of
Right.
cleanup, so we're getting close.
Getting close.
Overrun, but
And one of the other things that we did request was potential funding for our water tank replacement. As you know, we did go through town meeting to fund the water tank replacements for 6 million. I think something like that, and we have tried multiple avenues to knock that cost down for us, whether it be grants. This was another thing that we did try. The Senate Appropriations Committee has unfortunately advised us that the competitive requests were higher than normal this year, and they had to deny any funding from their kitty. So that's a little bit of negative news, but we continue to look for ways to try to fund it. We will continue to ask. But I just wanted to report out that, just so you know that we are still looking, we are still asking, and doing the best we can.
Mhm.
That's all I have.
Okay,
It's a lot.
yeah, very nice. Thank you. Liaison reports. Anybody have one? Well, the only,
oh, I get sort of, not really. But I'm actually gonna ask Chief Spanknebel's here. So just for public information, I believe UMass spring break starts not this weekend, but the weekend after. Which means this weekend, they're gearing up.
Blarney blowout.
It's sad.
So, and Mike and I were talking, so, just letting everybody know that that's the plan. So we'll watch the weather, which looks real nice. And Mike, my understanding from my conversation with you is that Hadley has been involved in coordinating, and looking at a regional response. Hopefully there's no need for it. Action Ambulance is involved and. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, if you don't mind.
Well, wonderful.
Yeah.
Carol.
So we work closely with Chief Stromgren this year, because it's not considered a scheduled event, so nobody takes ownership of it. It's a little bit of a challenge, but the university did agree to fund actual staffing of ambulances this year. So Action is providing 2 ALS ambulances for the day, and there's probably about, I think there's 12 total that will be dedicated to events at UMass, because there's also a basketball game and a lacrosse game, apparently. So they're spreading those resources out. And then our mutual aid agreements that we have, we haven't had an issue in the past where they've requested a state fire mobilization task force that really decimates counties. So we put together a plan for a strike team. So if they go through all their mutual aid, I developed a plan with Franklin, Hampshire, and Hampden County. Each will be shipping 2 ambulances if they have to pull the trigger on that. And they will go direct to the scene to assist with that. If they go through that, you can imagine we're going to be at a massive incident that will probably overwhelm our hospitals. So obviously that might trigger an MCI or moving into a fire mobilization task force, which would be Worcester County. So we'd be bringing ambulances in from Worcester County to assist. All that's in a plan right now. Chief Stromgren has a really good incident action plan with different levels. We'll be in communication all weekend. Unfortunately, we don't have folks available to staff up, but we will have 2 action ambulances at our station in our regular shift of 1. and myself on call. And I think a couple of our call force members will be around. I know some folks are away on vacation, and one of our full timers has military leave this weekend.
So based on the weather, what you're saying is unless you have to go somewhere, stay home because it's gonna be the typical learning chaos.
Yeah, doing inspections today around town, the restaurants and hotels are all gearing up for it, but they're, because of all the, the basketball or hockey or whatever there is, a lot of them are gearing up for just regular traffic from people coming in for the game. So I think it might be a bit overwhelming. So yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And Chief, anything on the policing end of it, or same, you're part of that coordinated
Yeah,
effort, right?
same thing, same
Yeah.
thing. I actually had a conversation with Chief Ting, couple of days ago, happened to see him at the academy. So they're doing the same thing that they normally do and bringing in mutual aid from the outside, and they're leaving us alone essentially. They're not requesting mutual aid from us because they may end up having to offer us the mutual aid that they bring in for their community. So they, years ago, when we started to build this plan, they decided that they would ask farther surrounding circles of departments to bring them in so we wouldn't be burdened. Same operating procedures as usual. We'll be staffed up and we'll be ready to go.
Okay. And just, I mean, the DPW, we already talked about the fact that they lost their superintendent, and next week we'll deal with trying to figure out if we can hire a replacement, because I know they're very short-staffed. All right. Announcements.
I have just condolences this evening. So tis the season, so there's several this evening. So on behalf of the select board, we'd like to express condolences to the families and loved ones of the following individuals who have recently passed. They include Pauline Kokoski, Alvin Hall, John Royko, Sally Mahoney Glidden, Carol Ruth Anderson, and Kathleen Robinson.
Thank you, Molly. Anybody else have anything? I guess we can just make people still aware that if you want to run for office, you can still get papers, correct? At the town clerk's office. So, yeah.
Oh, John, wanted me to read.
Please.
Ballot question, April 16th, department boards and committee reports for annual report are due March 15th. And nominations for the annual report and the Fred Oakley Award, please email sandersjamesj@hadleyma.gov or let us know.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Moving on to item 11, which is executive session.
At this time, I would like to make a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A2. To conduct strategy session in preparation for potential negotiations with non-union personnel, the fire chief. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect of the bargaining position of the town, if the chair so declares, and we do not intend to reconvene an open session.
Second.
Okay, as chair of the Hadley Select Board, I state that the board has moved and seconded to enter into executive session, and that I state that discussing the matter in open session will have a detrimental impact on the bargaining position of the town of Hadley. Roll call vote, Jennifer.
Roll call vote, Phil,
Yes.
Keegan,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
and Nevin Smith.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all and good night.
Everybody.